SpectreVision Radio.
I was in there working on an illustration, and she came in and said, "There's somebody here to see you." And she just kind of looked at me with a weird look. As I got down to the bottom of the stairs and I looked through the glass door, there was a gentleman standing on the outside of the building, which was weird because it's open to the public. And there's a big lobby, air conditioned lobby. This gentleman looked like an FBI type, like, old school dragnet. He just looked at me and he says, "Are you Barry Anderson?" And I'm like, "Yes." The weirdest thing is, I cannot remember anything other than him walking away and me going into the shop confused about the whole thing. I don't remember any conversation other than him asking my name.
So all he said is Mr. Anderson, like right out of the Matrix, and he just walks.
Yeah.
He just walks off. What?
Oh,
What? Like that's crazy.
I got goosebumps about it. Literally chicken skin.
With infinite complaisance, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
Barry, how did he know that he was physically examined? Because there were marks, because he could feel that he was in some horrible way, or did he have any memories?
Yeah. So, it's funny. He just said he felt like, he knew that this happened and that he had some physical pain. He didn't say that not to my knowledge, he did not have visible scoop marks or anything like that I'm aware of. Um, and again, when these things happen, you just don't know what to think.
Yeah.
So,
And it's tough to get into that stuff, especially when it gets
yeah,
to
it's hard.
really
Yeah. So,
the minutia, that kind of stuff. That's when it gets real dark.
well, let's face it, and we'll talk about it right here and now. I mean, a lot of jokes that go on. Hey, somebody got probed, and Saturday Night Live has skits on abductees. I've even joked about it because it's you deal with things, some trauma things, sometimes you deal with humor. But if something happens to you like this, it certainly isn't funny.
No.
I think he said that he believed that they probably may have taken sperm samples from him or something. He felt that something happened physically to him, and but I can't answer for him exactly. The only thing he told me was, I knew something happened to me.
Right.
And so, and of course there's blanked out time going on here. And so then your mind, if you could let yourself go crazy with that, trying to fill in the blanks. But, here in this case, I'm not going to try to fill in blanks. And
No, that's okay.
memories.
That's all right, Barry. I don't expect you to. It was just a quick question.
Yeah.
No problem.
No worries. It's just, it's frustrating for both of us, though. We've talked about, we have been talking about, he said he would be willing to get hypnotized as well. And he and I have been talking about maybe doing the regression. But I say, well, let's be forewarned that if we do, we may find out things. But on the other hand, at this point, you go this long with so many questions, you want answers, And so my guess is why they're doing this, why they're trying, of course, a lot of people believe it's a breeding thing, or, collection of, for fertility, collecting eggs, collecting sperms, collecting DNA from people and so forth. And you can only guess, hybridization project. The it's interesting. And so, now here we are. We discovered that something happened to both of us, and we've got to continue on in our lives. So it's it is difficult. That he was worried about. Oh, he said spot in the grass was 60 feet from his apartment. So that's not that far from where he was at. It says, remembers seeing a burnt, well, I just wrote burnt spot in the grass. But he said it was when I talked to him on the phone, he said it was a circular uh, spot that just would not grow anything after that. So which seemed to happen after what his
Right.
experience happened. So, and luckily his son was born the following in June, perfectly healthy, and ended up being a highly intelligent young man who's doing well in life. So that's good. Thank goodness for that. And so after this happened, now we had to learn to try to deal with this. And so what happened is somewhere along the line, I decided to write to Budd Hopkins. And I think I sent you some images of some of the correspondence
Yeah.
from
Is it
that.
okay to pull up one of those?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's amazing that Budd Hopkins, when he wrote the book Intruders, so there's a letter from him. This is before the internet, people. So the way we did things was the old fashioned way. I wrote him, here's a little example of one of my letters, or maybe that is the letter. I don't, I may have done a couple iterations of writing him a letter. And the funny thing is, I wrote him a letter, but I don't know if I told him everything, which I'm not 100% sure what I probably told him pretty much everything. But he, after his book Intruders came out, he had already had another book out. He got inundated with thousands of people, and so did Whitley Strieber, inundated by thousands of people who've come forward saying, I believe that I was abducted. So when I sent Bud my letter, he apologizes here in this little handwritten note by him, saying that he was inundated by a lot of people and he got back to me when he could. And so that date is January of 1989. So just, a number of months. Now, it may have been a couple months before I decided to write him. And then it took him a little bit of time to get back with me. So in January, thinking like January night, first week of January, he wrote me back. He sent me this Intruder Foundation um, kit, which was a brand new thing that he was putting together, and it only came out in that year of 1989. He began the Intruder Foundation because they were getting so many people reaching out to them that they were trying to figure out a way to help people. And he could only deal with so many people in person. So what he did was he recommended me to, I think he was a I don't know if he was a psychologist, I believe. I think it's Dr. Dan Overlaid, who lived up in the panhandle of Florida. Now I'm living in South Florida. He's all the way up Bud says, I know this is a long ways away from you, but this person, uh, he was involved with remember the Gulf breeze little thing that went on, which later then some people speculate was a hoax, but there were a lot of other people that were claiming they were seeing things. And there was a military base up in Gulf Breeze. So that was right around 1987, I think, or right around that time that my brother's abduction experience happened. Was right around the time this Gulf Breeze thing was going on. Maybe it was 1988. I don't know. But anyways, Dr. Dan Overlaid was involved with that. And I think Budd Hopkins was as well, looking into that. I didn't know all that until just recent times. I started trying to look into some of these things, going back and reverse engineering my life here. And But I never did get up there to see the guy, you know. And matter of fact, for some reason, I thought that he had passed away before he actually did. And I think I may have been mistaking him for somebody else when that happened. But you know, the time I was driving an old 1971 Monte Carlo that needed new brakes, new tires, and to take a trip all the way up there to meet some guy. But I think one of the things that Budd Hopkins tried to do is screen people, not just do a hypnosis, but also wanted a professional psychologist or psychiatrist to screen people to find out, see if they have mental illness, you know. And I think he was doing that with the people he was dealing with in New York City as well. He would have them see a professional to make sure that he isn't dealing with that issue. So I think by having this gentleman who did do hypnotherapy, I guess, was open minded to, you know, ex- examine and talk with persons with such claims, but could do it with the medical background to analyze things properly. But I regret in some ways that I didn't get up there to see him. Now, I thought I was going to meet him at a UFO conference that took place somewhere in South Florida, where some of the people from the Gulf Breeze thing showed up, but that gentleman never made it to the show, and I thought that's why that he had passed away or something, and that's why he didn't make it. But that might have been the reason, but I think when I tried to search in recent times, that it looked like they gave a different date of his passing. So I'm not sure. You get a lot of misinformation out there on the internet. So, you know, but
So Barry,
that happened.
what did Bud say in relation to what you did share with him?
Yeah. Well, he said that he thought what I was sharing was very compelling. And it was nice because I didn't know, had nobody to turn to, where do you go with this? And the fact that he had a real interest in this and was, giving people a place to go, even though I think he didn't expect to get bombarded with so many people. But, he did say that he, took my letter very seriously, said he thought it was very compelling. And I think he wanted me to get there to see this gentleman because he himself was interested to know what may have come from that. But it's just a funny thing how you're struggling in life. I just got bills to pay. I got to go to work, and you can't let this overrule the rest of your life. So again, somewhere I just kind of put this on the back burner, and well, I was trying to, but it would come up every so often and remind me, yes, weird things are still going on, and they may still be watching me, and but that really was kind of it. I wish now in some ways that I would have tried to do more, to have kept in touch with Budd Hopkins, but I didn't want to bother the guy. He was really busy, had a lot of things going on, and but he did invite me to join the his organization, Intruder Foundation, to it's just it gives you information and way to help cope and a way to communicate. But at this point in time, I did not have a home computer at this time. This was a mailed little flyer that was mailed to you, and maybe there was some phone numbers or something, but there were not websites or anything like that at
Yeah,
the
of
time that this
course.
was found. So the information that I got, I was probably one of the first people to actually get this Intruder Foundation. And then actually, I communicated with him twice. I did communicate with him later on after that and told him that, this is, I thought that Dan Overlaid had passed away, and told him that I was sorry that I didn't get a chance to meet with him. And, well, I was wondering if there was anybody else that he could suggest. And I don't remember. He probably did send me some, but they were just again at a distance to try to get to. So I, did not have the opportunity to go see them. Or I was having a really hard time. At first I was like, I'm going to do this, and then there's that part of me was just hesitating, and it's still through the years I kept saying I'm going to do this, and then I'm like, I'm not ready to do it. So I was been postponing it, probably out of some deep fear, and I realized that there, even though there's missing time there for me, um, there is some post-traumatic stress. It hits me every once in a while, more then than now. But there were times when I would feel, it was a very deep, intense thing that would come over you if something triggered that. And I would just feel like I couldn't breathe almost, and be just feel my pulse rising, and feel like I did wanted to feel like the sensation you just want to run. Or it's hard to explain it, but I've experienced it seeing some movies. I've experienced it. I don't know, certain little things that might have triggered something, or even, I just try to avoid the subject for a good long time
That's
because
understandable.
it was
That's for
intense.
sure.
So yeah, so that happened. And what else? What else happened? The- Now, here's the thing: when you go, are you, because you've gone through something intense like this, are you going to correlate everything that happens from that point on to, some paranormal thing or something? But I'm going to tell this story. It's just a curiosity to me. It makes me, I don't, not claiming 100% that I know what this was, but it was something that happened that left me um, very curious and wondering what the heck did happen. And I was talking to my brother about it the other day. But strange, strange visitor at work, and somewhere right not long after my contact with Budd Hopkins, I was working at a costume store that I had like a 10-year working relationship with these people. But in between film work and TV stuff and that, I would go, and they would have me work on their advertising campaigns and designing mascots for them. And they had a big costume rental area, and then they had a retail store, and I would sell Halloween makeups and things like that. So I did seasonal stuff for them, but they set me up with a little drawing room to work on their ads, and I was there, the in-house on-call artist, if you will, and which was very convenient for me, and so I could try to pursue other things. And I was at work one day, and it was really dead quiet there, and I can only think of one other person that was there, unless there was somebody in the back. But there was a coworker, and I think she was a manager or something there. But and I was kind of did my own thing. I didn't really I only answered to the big boss. But any case, I was in there working on an illustration, and she came in and said, "There's somebody here to see you." And I was like, "Oh, middle of the day, middle of the week. Who the heck's coming to see me?" I never had anybody come in to visit me unless it was during Halloween season. They wanted me to help them with their makeup or something. So I thought it was kind of weird, but I was like, okay. And she just kind of looked at me with a weird look. I was like, I don't know what's that all about. And I went downstairs. Now this place is pretty big, and it was open to the public, and it had a huge lobby, which I would decorate during the holidays. And as I got down to the bottom of the stairs and I looked through the glass door, there was a gentleman standing on the outside of the building, which was weird because it's open to the public. And there's a big lobby, air conditioned lobby. And as soon as I saw him, the first thing that words in my mind were cop. But he was not dressed as a police officer. This gentleman looked like an FBI type, like wearing the suit, old school dragnet cop, kind of thing. It sounds so weird. I'm embarrassed. I'm just so embarrassed to talk about this, and I'm like, what the hell? What are they? Who's this? And what do they want with me? I was kind of freaked out, just kind of approaching the door, and I was very confused. Like, who is this? And I open the door and I go outside, and this gentleman is standing there. I mean, we're talking about South Florida. It's hot. It's a hot place to live. Even in the winter, it gets warm. And there's a gentleman standing there, and he's dressed in this dark suit with the. I mean, I'm so embarrassed to say the word "man in black" suit, but guy had a hat and the suit, and he just looked at me and he says, "Are you Barry Anderson?" And I'm like, "Yes." And the weirdest thing is, I cannot remember anything other than him walking away and me going into the shop confused about the whole thing. And when my coworker looked at me, I could tell she thought maybe I was in trouble with the police or something. And I don't know. I don't know if this has happened to other people. I don't know if this was a man, but the parking lot was on the side of the building. So the front of the building faced a busy road. And so this gentleman had to park this car off to the side if he was even driving a car, which I don't know. I wish I would have paid the tent. I was just so weirded out by the whole thing that I don't remember any conversation other than him asking my name, which is really strange. And then when I saw the movie, man, they pull out a thing and but I was like, oh my God, this sounds so stupid to even say this right now. Whether there was some band, of course I thought maybe there was a case of mistake in that, but the weird part is I was not a long-term employee. I came and went there. How would anybody know that I even worked there? I mean, that's the thing. How would they know that I was working in this place? What is it that they wanted? Why were they standing on the outside of the door? And why the hell were they dressed like that in hot Florida? I'm like, I can't. It's just it weirded me out.
That's just so strange. So all he said is Mr. Anderson, like right out of the Matrix, and he just walks. Yeah. He just walks off. What? What? Like that's crazy.
I got goosebumps about it. Literally chicken skin. Yeah, the thing about it was he had this no expression in his face. It was just such an intense, weird moment. And
yeah, that is not a normal human interaction, is to just ask to confirm your identity and then just walk the hell off. You're probably like, what the hell happened? No, you're fine. You're fine. I know this stuff is not easy.
Weird.
And when it actually, I know people are going, well, that's not that big of a deal. But when you really think about it, after everything that's already happened,
yeah,
That's not a
This is the thing.
normal interaction in
This
any
is like
way, shape, or
probably one
form.
of the first times I've spoken about this. Like I just was communicating with my brother about it the other day, but again, sometimes I just put it away and didn't. But
Yeah.
the more I started to think about it, the weirder it weirded me out. And I just remember when I went back in the building, I was so confused about what happened, and I looked at my coworker. I could tell she was wondering, like, oh, was he in trouble with the cops or something? But I could tell she was weirded out too because when she looked at me and said, "There's somebody at the door for you. Somebody here for you."
Yeah.
And I just see the look, but think she probably is thinking that I was in trouble with the law or something. I mean, but there's no badge. There was nobody. He didn't flash a badge to me and say, "Hey, I'm from this and such, and this is why I'm here." Look at, and like I say, who would even know that I worked at this place? I mean, I don't know that there was even a. Oh man, sorry,
No, you're fine. You're fine, Barry. I know
but
this stuff is not easy
oh,
because
I didn't expect to feel emotional. It's just, oh my God, it messes with you so bad. It really does. It just, it emotionally. So because of that, adds to your paranoia.
did that
I
make
mean,
you then feel really strange about staying there to work? Like, did you start to look over your shoulder when you left or when you got there,
well,
or think maybe he'll be back?
what
Did you see any weird cars around?
yeah, I mean, it adds to the paranoia factor, that all of a sudden, like, holy crap, they're watching me or something,
Yeah,
And then I started thinking because I contacted Budd Hopkins, maybe that's what made them, maybe that's
you
why
got
they're
on the
what
radar. Yeah,
maybe, but there's the weird thing about it, and I'm not saying this person was an alien. It could have been a government, well, somebody who worked for the government. I mean, I don't know, but their demeanor was so odd. It was so strange. It was so flat. And then
yeah.
why was there? Why am I having missing? Why is there a blank space here?
Well,
That's not a normal conversation.
no, and usually if somebody approaches you like that, that's how you would be approached, and a confirmation question you would get if you were being served papers or something. Barry Anderson, and then boom, you get handed papers. That would be a normal interaction, but what he did was not normal.
No, and that's the thing that gets me. That's why I brought this up. That's why it's written here. A lot of this stuff is me. I've been since I retired here. Had a job, government. I worked for a government uh, contractor. I worked with the military and police. Even though I'm an artist, I've had a high profile job. You know, for me to come forward and talk about this stuff, it would have been too risky. Now that I'm retired, I've decided to come forward. But this stuff haunts you through the years. A lot of it I try to just put away. But I mean, it's just there's more questions than answers. It was weird. And
Did
again,
Barry, did he make eye
no
contact
expression.
with did he make eye contact with you, or did he have
It's
glasses on? Do you
it,
remember?
it's weird how I was trying to think about that. I don't know that he had glass. I don't think he had glasses. I don't know. He may have. The only thing I'm trying to recall, but I just remember he had a generic looking white man's face, no whiskers, no facial hair of any kind, very short haircut. I mean, it looked like I'm gonna say the word dragnet. I haven't seen that show since it looked like something from when I was a kid watching a cop show where the guys are FBI agents or something, And when I mean, I don't know, I hesitate to say man in black, but it sure seemed like there was some. And then I wondered, what was he driving? Was there other people with him?
Right, where did he
Were they
go?
parked in a vehicle on the side of the building? I didn't look. I just turned around. He the only thing I remember is seeing him turn and start walking
So
down.
did he go by you this way, or did he turn and go this way back, the
Yeah,
way that
yeah,
okay.
right. So the building, there's a sidewalk out there on a busy road, and you got to walk in a few feet to get to the door of the place. It was just so weird. The man stood outside in the blazing heat
In the
when we had
suit.
this huge air conditioned building with a big open lobby. why the hell wouldn't he have gone inside there for one thing? And then if
Probably
I
couldn't work
was,
the door, Barry. You know how they just can't quite get little things right. He probably didn't know how the hell to work the door.
I wish I knew, and my coworker
Ugh,
must have gone to the door and opened it up and
like,
wondered
yeah,
why is there a
hi.
person outside the building
Yeah.
ringing the bell or whatever he was
Mm-hmm.
doing. And then for her to go up to the door, the funny thing is she and I never spoke about it. I never spoke about it to her, and she didn't speak to me about it after that. But I could tell she was really wondering what the deal is. And look, from the way she looked at me, I could tell it weirded her out. When she said somebody was there at the door, I didn't think about it too much. But when I came back, but I could tell the way she said, "Somebody's here. Wait, somebody's here for you." Which was odd in itself because nobody ever came to see
Well,
me in the
and
middle.
the other thing is, it makes you wonder what was his demeanor towards her? What words did he use?
Yeah,
Because he was weird
I
with
know.
you, so I'm sure he was very strange with her too. Besides the
Yeah,
fact that nobody came and it was effing hot outside and he's outside in a
yeah.
suit and dude,
Zero, no
you can
customers.
come in, dude. Like, why are you standing? The whole thing is weird, but beyond that, he's just weird, just himself.
Yeah,
He's just
and the
weird.
odd thing is there were nobody else was at the shop, which is kind of weird because a lot of times we had a lot of people. There's several people that would be working. It was off season. It was just a quiet day. There was no customers at that time, and
Yeah,
it just the whole dang thing. But I would
sounds weird.
afterwards. I wish that I would have asked her. So what did that man say to you? What have?
Right.
But she was curious, like who's that? What's that person doing out there? And then they asked for me, and then when I got there, they asked if I was that person, and then that's the next thing I'm turning around. He's walked away. He got walked back in a very just unnatural, strange. The whole thing was unnatural, and it was just strange. N- Deadpan expression, deadpan voice. Just uh, and I don't know. It freaked me out. It was weirded me out. Just weirded me out. So, and of course, at that point, then you think, are they going to show up at my door in my apartment? Are they going to? What's going to happen next? And
Yeah.
then you start, yeah, you're looking over your shoulder about things. It was a weird
That's a
experience.
weird one.
Yeah. Well, anyways, um, I thought I would mention it, and I don't know. I'll always wonder what the deal was with that. Maybe if I get a regression, maybe I could find out what conversation did take place. If I could, I would be worth doing it just for that reason. I can't figure out any other reason why this person came there asking for me, and what their purpose was. What did they want? If it would have been a case of mistaken identity, which again, how would they even know that I was working there? It wasn't like I had a steady long-term job. I mean,
Yeah,
you know
and
what I mean?
what if you actually stood out there for 20 minutes and had a full conversation and you just don't remember it?
Well, that's the thing is, I don't know how long I was out there. It seemed like I was only out there for a matter of seconds, weird second. But could I have been out there? What conversation did take place, and why
Yeah.
can I not remember any of it? Um, I don't know. He just looked like a generic man. Well, it's a generic man, but he didn't have a suntan, and he wasn't wearing clothes appropriate for the weather out there because
Yeah.
it's hotter than hell out there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I and the part of me goes, damn it, why didn't I go see what he was driving? Why didn't I?
Nah, you don't need to follow
Yeah,
that dude. That is not a dude that
uh, yeah, yeah.
you
Well,
try to continue the interaction because,
you're right. You're right about that.
half the other thing is he already flashy thinged you.
He must
Did you
have. I
flashy
mean,
thing me?
I know. Well, this is the thing. When I saw those movies, of course, I enjoyed the hell out of those.
Yeah.
They were fun and all. But when I saw that scene, it freaked me out a little
I'll
bit. I thought,
bet.
I know this is a jokey movie, but you know, you gotta wonder. You
Hey,
just
they
gotta
get that
wonder.
shit from somewhere, Barry, and we know that that is
Yeah,
100% right, you
yeah.
know?
And I gotta be honest. I'm curious, but there are things that I've avoided. I know about. There's a lot of stories about Men in Black. I've avoided some of it just because it freaks me out. I haven't read a lot of stuff on abduct. I just avoided it for years. Now. I'm going back in and going, okay, I'm going to face some of this stuff and do sort of some deep dives on it. But I know more than a lot of people I've been involved with. But we'll talk about MUFON. But for many years they didn't even deal with that. They talked about crafts, but they didn't talk about a lot of this other stuff. Well, so any case, I guess we can move on from that crazy thing to other weird stuff. If you like this, the next thing is I called it turkey dinner and crash saucers, but uh, I like to make up titles for stuff. Um, my wife and I moved from South Florida up to Central Florida, and I think it was 1993 we moved up here, and it was after Hurricane Andrew hit down there. My God, that was terrifying. It was a horrible thing that happened, but we had gotten married. I was slow to getting married. Sorry, honey, but a lot of it was logistical problems. We had family scattered around the country, and we were a struggling couple. The idea of trying to plan a wedding and all that stuff just freaked me out. And honestly, the idea of my divorced parents being in one place for something like that was supposed to be a happy moment. I couldn't handle that either. So I was avoiding. I was like, why don't we just why don't we elope? And she's like, oh, my mom. Well, anyway, we, we got married down there in a little humble little thing. And then within a year, we moved up to Central Florida and began our life up here. And she had family members that lived in the area. So her aunt and uncle invited us to come to Thanksgiving dinner. Uh, and so we went. And so this was, yeah, I don't know if it was probably shortly after we had moved here, but 1993, maybe 94, this happened. And we went down to see her elderly aunt and uncle and some other family members. So we were all sitting around the dining table, and somewhere along the line, her aunt said something about, well, back when we were living in New Mexico, and out of just politeness, I go, oh, where were you living in New Mexico? And she says, Roswell. I was like, You were in Roswell? What were you doing in Roswell? Well, he was in the I don't know, was it Army, Air Force, or um, what the RAAF, the Roswell Army Air Force, yeah, airfield. He was in the Army. And I was just like, what? Now everybody else is sitting around at the dinner table, and all of a sudden I'm like, you were where the UFO crashed, and all of a sudden the entire mood of the table changed and it got weird. And I'm all like hyped up and trying to ask questions. And everybody just suddenly got really uncomfortable. And I said, when were you there? And she said, I think she said, I said something about I was like, you were there with the UFO? She goes, we came after that. I go, when? And she said something. I go, well, it was right after that, so like 1948 or something. So they were in Roswell sometime after not long after this UFO crash, right? So I'm still trying to, and my wife started kicking me under the table, and and when we left that night, it got really awkward and felt like I hit a nerve, you know, and when we got in the car on the you know, funny on the way out, her elderly, I think that her elderly aunt whispered out the door, "We believe," or something like that. And I was like, and we got in the car, and she goes, "You really," my wife says, "You really upset them." I'm like, "Oh my God, they know about Roswell, one of the biggest events, UFO events in the history of this country." And she's like, "We don't ever bring that up again to them." And I'm like, "I have. What do you mean? No, they know something. I got you know." And she's like, "Promise me you will not say anything ever to them again about that." And it killed me knowing that they both are gone at this point, and they took it with them. But there was a deep embedded fear. It's like whatever they were told, you know, of course they're old school, you know, so whatever they were told about keeping their mouths shut, they did, and it was so frustrating. But I thought that was as close as I will ever get to the Roswell situation, the story from persons that were living there at the time. Um, well, right after, as she said, that happened after we found that. I
I
go,
mean,
well, when you
do
were
you
there,
think that he had a position at the base to where he might have come into contact with, you know, the recovered craft and all the
well,
things
you
around
know what?
Roswell?
It's a funny thing because I would like to have, you know, I try to look. I can't call family and ask. Well, I asked my wife if she would ask her mom about the stuff, you know, a little bit to try to find some information about it now, because a lot of these people are no longer around. But I would like to have known what, you know, this gentleman ended up after he got out of the service having a successful little business and things. Sorry, hit
That's
my table.
okay.
Uh, and you know, lived a little quiet life and raised his kids, and you know, just living their normal American life. But whatever happened, they knew. And you can't go and work someplace like that after something like that and not know. It had to be the talk of the town. You know, it had to be the
Yeah,
talk of
but it's that
everybody.
damn compartmentalization that'll get you.
You're
That's
true.
what'll get you. I
Yeah.
mean, but that said, if he had some kind of a position where he
He
may,
had
but not that he could tell you anyway.
he had
Not he
that
couldn't
some
tell. He couldn't even tell his wife if he was doing the right,
yeah,
you know,
but
by what he signed.
for me to hit a nerve, I mean, I could see if I was just annoying, like, "Oh,
Oh
UFO, we don't
yeah.
believe it." But I could you know, my wife, like I said, she started kicking me under the table, and and
Mm-hmm.
then you could see the demeanor and the change, and that it really stuck a nerve with them.
Yeah.
And oh, I gotta have to eat a banana. I got a muscle cramp in my leg.
Oh, do you drink
I
that
bought
water?
some. We went to the grocery store and I bought bananas. So if you see me go, ah, it's my leg cramp.
Yeah, I mean, for that to kick off some kind of a strange air in the room, then
Yeah,
obviously, and you know, he probably knew exactly what he couldn't say, and then the wife knew that there were things that she didn't even know that he couldn't say.
yeah,
So, you know,
yeah. And you know, of course, that Air Force base field was the base of the 509th Bombardment Group. So it was a really important strategic place during the wartime effort. You know, with where they were putting nuclear weapons on these aircraft. So there would have been a lot of top secret stuff happening there, and the fact that they, you know, may have had alien bodies and crash retrieval, which they probably moved elsewhere afterwards. But you know, it was definitely, you know, something. So the you know, Roswell crash happened in July of 1947, and I uh, I got excited and oh yeah, and I think that she said that they got there somewhere along 1948, which is, you know, sometime after, but not shortly after all this had happened. So there had to be still a hell of a buzz going on about the whole thing. and possibly things there. Of course, they came out and said it was a weather balloon and all that stuff, but they, even though they tried to hide it all, and but when they start to, when you get the government in that kind of a situation, where you're going to be, your family could be threatened, your pension could be threatened, your position. There's a lot of reasons why
Yeah.
they will keep you quiet. So,
Yep.
anyways, it was an interesting dinner to say the least. I ruined for everybody, and I'm always good at take me to a kid's birthday party. You'll see what happens when I drop the f bomb there. We'll talk. That's a different story. Uh, so well, anyway, so uh, we'll move on to something else here. And this is another strange one. Um, let's see what happened. 1993. I'm in Orlando, Florida, and I started to have some pain in my face, and felt like it was radiating down into my tooth. And I just so what year? 1993. So at this point in time, I had just been hired with a company and just got my this company had benefits, and they gave me dental benefits. So I was like, I'm gonna make an appointment to see a new dentist. And there was a dentist right around the corner from where I was living. And I actually would think I was on the road for some reason for the company, and started to notice this pain, and it probably been going on for a while, but I decided that I needed to do something. And once I so what I went to the dentist's office and I told them, "Hey, I'm having this pain," but I said, "Listen, I have this insurance. Can you please just make sure that it's gonna clear, because they give you a certain amount of time where you have it, where you can only do get some, then afterwards they'll bump it up to, after you've had it for a bit, to
Mm-hmm.
where you can get other things, you know what I mean? So of course the girl's like, oh yeah, everything's good, you can, and well, they talked to me, and they somewhere along the line they told me that I needed to have a root canal in the front of my mouth somewhere.
Mm.
Now, the thing was, you're when you're having pain, you're be willing to do whatever you got to do about that. And the funny part was, I ended up in the dentist chair, and getting this root canal done. I didn't get any laughing gas or anything. Just so anybody listening, I was 100% clear minded, but they did put Novocaine in my mouth. And the thing was, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how this root canal, but they drill a hole in there, and then they got to go in there and clean it out and pack whatever. So the dentist ends up getting up and leaving me in there while I got my mouth cranked open, and I got some things stuck in my tooth or whatever. And, I don't know if she went to go work on somebody else or just took a break or what the deal was. But it's weird. Right at that point when she left, I just had this strange feeling about something, and I thought, I'm wondering if she do this to the wrong tooth or something. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I even was, but I was laying in the dentist chair, and there's a little window, small window up high in the room, that all I could see was the sky and some white billowy clouds. And I was just sitting there leaned back in this chair, and I'm just looking out there at the sky, at this little. It was like I don't know. They were just little. I don't remember which names of the clouds, but cumulus, whatever it was. It looked like cottony cloud, in a perfectly sunny blue sky with a little white cloud sitting there by itself. And while I was sitting there looking at it, I see a silver object come out of it. And then I'm like, what in the hell am I looking at? And then it sits there and then it turns around and goes reverses back into the behind the cloud. And all of a sudden I'm freaking out. Like, wait, did I just see that? I just what and of course then the dentist comes back, but look like I could see the sun uh, reflecting off of this shiny silver object. Uh, Looked like it was rounded thing. It came out, cleared the cloud. It just stopped, sat there long enough for me to see it clearly, and then it went back, reversed itself back into the cloud, and I don't know. It was just like blown away, but I couldn't say anything. I'm like sitting there going, just having to get through this procedure. But I was like so confused. I'm like, oh my God, what in the world just happened? And again, whether this has anything to do, well, that happened, and that was something that I really saw. Whether this dental thing has anything to do with it, I don't know. But this is what happens when you go through all this stuff that you start to wonder. So,
Although, Barry, I have to say, I don't know how long exactly she was out of the room, but if she hadn't left the room, you probably would have, most of us close our eyes, of course,
yeah,
because it's awkward because they're right in your face. So
sure.
it's like it knew that you were sitting there looking out the window and you didn't have your eyes closed because the dentist is in your face.
It felt, and it sounds so bizarre, but it felt like it wanted to show itself to
Yeah.
me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's as weird as that sounds. And I thought about that. I was like, did it just come out just to show me, bizarre as that sounds? So here's what happens. I go through this procedure, and after it's over, I'm still having pain. I'm still having pain, and well, and not only that, but my insurance wasn't covering this procedure,
Oh, God.
which I had. So I ended up having to pay fully for a root canal in the front of my face for something that I didn't need. It wasn't the right. It was. It was not. Whatever it was. Months go by and I'm still having pain in my face, right? So eventually I go to a different dentist. And when I went to this dentist, they took some x-rays, and all of a sudden the way that their response was kind of scary. They're like, okay, we found something in your x-ray and you need to go you need to go to a dental surgeon right away, is what they told me. And I was just like, oh, what the hell, I mean, Jesus. So and they gave me the recommendation to go to see a dental surgeon. And this got to be a little bit of a crazy thing. And so I I make this. Now I didn't see the image, and I wish that I would have asked to see it. I did not see the image of the X-ray or that showed whatever. They just told me that they saw some kind of a mass in my face, and they needed me to go see this doctor. So they forward the image to this dental surgeon, and I go to this dental surgeon, and okay, let's send the wish. Yeah, surgeon. So I get there, and basically, so I just looked this up recently because I was curious, like what exactly were they saying was going on. So one of the things that I saw was something called a maxilla cyst that grows abnormally large and causes facial swelling. So the doctor says to me, "You have something in your face, and it's affecting the bone of your skull. It's actually, embedding into this your face. And he wanted to know if he could have some of his students come and he says this is kind of an abnormal. This is abnormal, abnormally large thing that's happening. Sorry, it's kind of bizarre. And it could it be a completely normal thing? Well, normal for this medical normal thing. Yeah, maybe it could be, and maybe it is. But it was into my sinus cavity, um, penetrating into the sinus cavity or something. And so he wanted to know if he could have some of his students observe this procedure. I was like, of course, I'm freaked out at this point. But they, whatever it was, there's a couple different things. But read radicular peripicals assist. Well, in any case, but usually they said something like that is the base of the root of the tooth. But this thing ended up in, near my sinus cavity, which is what I thought was that one, and I've heard that maybe they do these implants in your face or into the sinus cavity, right? So I don't know, but
Mm.
I had the surgery done. I did not want to look at the thing that was removed. They said it was unusual and odd size, but when and I wouldn't probably have correlated except for that I saw something while I was in the dental chair up in the sky, and then like, hey, you're trying to get take this thing out of you, or say, you just start to wonder, why did I have that setting at the moment that we were going to try to investigate whatever's going on in my sign in my face, but
And then it wasn't even fixed. It wasn't even
yeah, well,
fixed. So it took a whole nother. Okay.
and let me tell you, many months went by before all of this happened, and then they had another x-rays done where somebody saw something in my face, and so it was interesting.
How did they have to go through the roof of your mouth to get it out?
Yeah, yeah, they did.
Oh
Yeah,
shit. Mm.
yeah, it was not a pleasant thing.
Mm.
And yeah, I know,
Do
crazy.
you
So,
do you
who
think that
knows?
there's any way that you could, and I know this was a number of years ago, do you think that those x-rays still exist?
Man, I wish that I regret, of course, you don't know what to think when this stuff happens to you, but I wish that I would have been like, "Hey, can I have all these images?" I never thought I would ever be talking about this to anybody, And then there's a lot of part of you that goes, "Am I crazy, or is this weird, or what?" I don't know. It's so long ago. I doubt that there would be any record of that at this point. I can't even remember the name of the that we may possibly have some paperwork on who that dental surgeon was or something maybe, but I just remember thinking there was a curiosity, and I was too embarrassed to say, hey, you find any weird object in it? The only thing they said was they were going to biopsy it to make sure that it wasn't cancerous. But was there any? I wanted to know, was there anything that was a gray BB sized ball or something embedded in there?
Or it looked just like your sister-in-law's foot, like this
Yeah,
circular
which,
thing. But I just
what?
googled it really quickly, and it said they usually keep x-rays about 7 to 10 years. They keep them longer for minors, but it is worth maybe checking and trying to find a paper trail for that. I don't know.
Yeah, and now that we talk about this, so talk about implants. Well, we talked about mine, and my brother for many years told me that he felt a BB size thing at the base of his skull, and he mentioned it a number of times, and it was a little thing that seemed like it was moving around in there, but somewhere along the line it disappeared. But it for a long time
Hmm.
he had something. It felt like it was under his skin and the back of his skull. And of
Mm.
course, yes, then we have the image of the implant, whatever the object is in his wife's foot, which is very bizarre. And here we go for anybody who sees. So this object, I mean, it's like the size of a dime, and it's a loop. It looks like you can see where it's like something looped, and it's not all a singular ring, but it's embedded right down below the webbing of the big toe and the
Well,
next toe over.
well, they never told you how big whatever it was in your face was?
He told me he had never seen anything like this before. It was unique, and that it was about the size of a grape, maybe. What?
God, a
Here's the thing.
grape in your
Yeah,
face?
yeah, I know. No wonder I was. But it was actually starting to affect. It was puncturing through into my sinus
Oh,
cavity,
I'm sure.
is what he said,
My
and
God.
that's the weirdest thing. But the thing is, it's like I can't help but think that it was like tissue growing over something else,
That
like it's
wasn't
trying
supposed to
to.
be there.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
But
because
you
that's what the
know,
body does. It all it has is
right.
inflammation
Foreign
and
a foreign
packing more
object
things over
foreign object
something.
is in your body, and it's trying to do something to yeah,
Hey,
protect your from
Barry,
yes.
just what you don't want to hear from a doctor. I've never seen this before. Can I
Yeah.
bring everyone that I know to watch what happens here?
Well,
Shit.
this is why I'm bringing this up, because it's all so weird, It's just it is a very odd thing,
Yeah.
and I couldn't help but again leave me wondering, and I now I was so freaked out, I just didn't wanna see whatever it was, but I kinda regret that I went, "Can I have that?" You I'm like, I had this object, it was a blob of stuff, with this other thing, and now I can't find that either, but, I don't know. It was just such a weird, experience that, again, leaves me scratching my head, and I wouldn't correlate it except for the fact that I saw an object, middle of the day, clear blue sky, come out of a light, fluffy, billowy cloud. It came out, cleared the cloud. It wasn't because otherwise I'd be like, was there an aircraft flying and somehow? But this thing just came out and it was shiny, silvery, shiny, and it just went backed up. It reversed, stopped, and then it reversed itself back and went back into the cloud.
It's just a little peekaboo for you, Barry.
And
That's
then
all.
and then right after that, here comes the dentist in there,
Yeah.
and
That's a
and then
weird one.
the weird part is the whole time she was doing this procedure, I kept feeling like something was wrong, and I don't know if I was picking up psychically from her vibe that she gave me a root canal that I didn't need.
How
You
did that, by the
or,
way, I was going to ask that as well. How the
uh,
F did that even happen? That they root canaled a tooth that didn't need a root canal? That is extremely suspect.
should have had a lawsuit, right?
Well,
And I was,
is that something that happens sometimes? Isn't that something that they see on the X-rays that the
you
root
know,
that the pulp in there is screwed up?
this is the thing that gets me. And the thing is, I went back there pissed off that not only did my insurance not cover it and I had to pay full price, but I also was still having pain,
Oh yeah,
and they did not want to take responsibility
mm,
for this.
lovely.
And they're like, "Oh, you shouldn't be having like, well, then you must have did the wrong tooth because I'm still having pain." And when they did take X-rays, they never saw this mass in my. I mean, I
Oh
don't
God,
know.
well yeah, that's the other thing. It didn't show up on their X-rays that you had this
I
grape-sized mass.
I have a
That whole
funny
thing is really weird too, Barry. That is
yeah. Now it was a new practice, and I have a feeling this person
uh,
just got out of school and didn't know what the hell they were doing,
good
perhaps.
Lord.
You know,
That is a huge shit the
it's a
bed though.
nightmare.
That's
If
a
nothing else, if it wasn't an alien implant, it certainly is a medical nightmare of a dental
Nice
story
for
to tell.
you to be a guinea pig for all the newbies, Barry. How nice of you.
Oh my God, you got that. I know.
Mm,
It's wild. Oh, so anyways, I went through all that, and that was not a fun time.
mm-hmm.
And so moving on from the dental nightmares, I wanted to just bring up the first of all, I think I sent you a newspaper clipping that in 1997, March of 1997, there was an article in a newspaper here in Central Florida about a rash of cattle mutilation that took place. And I'm telling you, there were in several counties around Central Florida, multiple cattle were found mutilated. I think there were at least three or four ranches in different counties, and that these uh, animals were found and completely drained of blood. The typical cattle mutilation story: cheek parts missing, eyeball missing, cord out anus, missing udders, and the different. It's always where the mucousy membrane stuff is. You got to wonder what in the world are they doing? Are they making cattle milkshakes or something? I mean, what is going on here? It's so bizarre. But this newspaper article, now it's funny. Try to look this up, and I kept this article for years. It came out of the newspaper locally, but I tried to look things up and I'm finding nothing on this, which is bizarre because the case was never solved. The sheriff's office was, of course, looking for Satanists, crazy Satan cults as possibly suspect. They had no suspects. There was no evidence, no, no footprints, no tire tracks, no nothing, no idea. And the ranchers completely, of course, they're losing lots of money. But maybe they got insurance to cover them. But, and in this article, it even says that, they detected some kind of a strange drug and they said, don't touch the animal, keep a distance from, I think, let me see, I can't read that. My eyesight's too bad, but they talked about some kind of artificial amphetamine or something that was found, and whatever that means. But they're warning people not to touch the carcasses and to keep a distance away from the. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
that's the.
it's saying the substance can be absorbed through a person's
Yeah.
skin and can be fatal to humans. So
Yeah.
ranchers are being warned not to handle any animals they find in their pastures that have died under suspicious circumstances. Yowza.
So, wow. Yeah. Wowza is right. And, so I'm reading this and I'm going, oh my God, this is crazy. What is happening here in Central Florida? And of course, I knew this is not some, guy who's going, "Hey man, you bored? You want to go do some?" You know, to go out into a cow pasture, out in some rancher. First of all, you take a risk of getting shot out on somebody's ranch. You start messing with cattle in the middle of the night, and then drain all their blood. I mean, who in the world can do that and not make some insane mess? Doing so and not leave footprints and so on, and then laser cut body parts out of these totally drained cattle. I mean, it just blows my mind, right? So at this point I was just they ended up putting out a reward for information. Of course, nothing ever came from it, but several different counties experienced this. So at this point in time, shortly after that, I decided to join MUFON because I wanted to become a field investigator. Because I was like, man, somebody needs to be on that site that knows what to look for. I mean, because here they are chasing up the wrong tree here, looking for some group of people doing, some little magical spells out there or whatever they think. But for them, no evidence of any kind other than this weird drug that they're claiming was there that you can't touch, or it could have, that is either they made that up to keep people from messing with the stuff, or they did find some weird synthetic drug. But where did that evidence go? Where did that go? Right. So what do I do? I'm like, there's this lady named Linda Moulton Howe that is an expert on this. And I don't know how I got her phone number. I don't know how I got in touch with her, but somehow I called her up on the phone and it just said, "Hey, hi, I'm so and so, and I live in Central Florida, and there's a rash of cattle mutilation going on." And she says, "Yeah, I know about it." And she goes, "It's a lot worse than what they're saying." And I said, "Okay, well, yeah, I just thought of you because they're claiming Satan worshipers or cult or something is doing this." She goes, "Of course they do. They can't comprehend any other possibilities other than humans doing this." But she said, "I'm aware of it, and that there's more cases than what's being told." So I'm like, "All right, well, thanks. I just wanted to check to make sure you did know." And it was, but I don't even know how I got her phone number. This is before the internet again, 1997. I didn't have a Maybe some people had. I didn't have a computer. If I did, it would have been a DOS computer at work or something. I didn't have any way to look her up or something. But I found her phone number, or called information. Somehow I got her number. I don't know. But I did call her. And now here's where things get weird again. The stuff that happens shortly after I contacted her. I get a phone call at my work. At the work, I didn't have a cell phone at that time, right? There was one phone in the building in my workplace. It was just this. The art department was separate from the corporate company at that time, and I was just at my work, and somebody says, "You have a phone call," and I went to and picked up the phone. And it's a gentleman on the phone, and he says, "Hi, hi," and I probably said his name. I don't know what but he says, "I'm a reporter, and I want to know what you know about the cattle mutilations." What? What? Now, first of all, the element of surprise. I'm in the middle of a busy work day, and a guy is calling my work number. How the hell did he get my work number? How did he know I worked there? Again, weird. He says he's a reporter and wants to know what I know about these cattle mutilations.
But what
First
did
of all,
but what at this point what did you know about the cattle mutil? Were you part of MUFON yet, or you had just
no,
contacted Linda?
no, no. I joined MUFON after this. All I did was
What? So what
yes.
the hell?
All I did was contact Linda. But
Whoa.
were they listening? Are they? Was she being? Are they?
Her
Were they?
phone's tapped.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. What I started to think, I'm thinking, oh my God, they
Yeah.
must be listening in on who's contacting her, right?
Yeah, and if these are just little, as you say, little Satan worshippers doing their magic rituals, why in the hell do they care so much to listen in on Linda's phone calls when she's talking to people about this kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Things that make you
Again,
go, hmm.
yeah, you got that right. And that was very bizarre. But of course, afterwards, I mean, I'm just kind of freaked out at that point on the phone. I'm at work. I can't have a private conversation. There's people in around the shop, walking around. I'm out in a public. The phone is right there in the middle of the workspace, and there's tools going. There's other people. I didn't want anybody to hear this conversation or anything. But I just am weirded out. Yeah, and of course, I wish I would have had a piece of paper and a pen and going, okay, so who do you work for?
Yeah.
Who are you a reporter for? What is your name? Give me, I just wanted to get the heck off the phone with whoever, at that point. But after I got off the phone with this person, after saying, I don't know anything about it other than what I read in the newspaper. I mean, I had a lot of things that I thought about afterwards, wishing I would have asked more questions or something about it. But I think, what in the heck is going on
And they're
here?
constantly bothering you at work. You got the
No,
MIBs, you
another
got reporters. I mean,
another job, another workspace, which,
I guess that's better than them doing this crap to you while you're at home or coming to your house. I guess that is preferred, but
true. That's true, but it adds again a little paranoia.
No,
You
yeah.
go, are they are are people watching me? Are they following me? Well, I'm just nobody. Like you say, I'm just a guy who's going through weird things in my life. I didn't. It was after this happened that I joined MUFON, and I decided, okay,
Weird.
I'm going to join MUFON, and I think I sent you a picture that I communicated with the president back at that time, Walt Andrus. But yeah, it is just a weird thing. So I said, there was a mention on one of the news channels, Channel 6 News on 5/16/1997, about the cattle mutilations that the sheriff's office. Now, I was unable to find that again, but Channel 6 News, 5/16/1997, 6 o'clock news, they were saying there was a reward for any information as to who the perpetrators were in these crimes against these cattle. But again, as you know, this mystery is going on around the world, and there's a lot of people losing cattle, a lot of things, so evidence where it looks like cattle have been dropped from the sky and so forth. But I'm just the guy who reads a newspaper article and tries to take some action because I knew they're barking up the wrong tree. And I thought somebody that's an investigator should get down there and look into this. And that's why I looked her up and contact her. And then I get this phone call again. It is just weird.
Yeah,
And
that is very, very strange. Because that's all that means is if your name is not already part of MUFON's roster, the only way that at that point, I would assume, unless they've been following you for years, which that could also be Barry, because that strange dude that showed up, and you have possible implants and crafts showing up at different times, then maybe it has nothing to do with Linda and everything to do with you. But
it's just weird. It said, I got information, it says killing and mutilation of 8 cattle connected with a cult. Brevard County Sheriff investigating. Ranchers discover bodies of 5 cattle, 2 injected with powerful amphetamine. 1 calf killed in August in Lake County, 1 in Seminole County in February, and another in St. Lucie County. Left eye, tongue, left ear. It's
yeah,
always the same. It is so weird. Why, once you had 1 or 2 cattle, wouldn't you think they don't need to why would they keep doing this? What is it
yeah. There's
are
no
they
telling.
taking? Yeah, I know, but it
There's
makes you wonder, are they using this to create some kind of fluid that's sustaining for something, or, what in the heck are they
they're on a
making?
carnivore diet, Barry.
I'm thinking,
They're all carnivore.
they're making milkshakes out of the stuff. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, and that's well, that's kind of the sum of some of the weirdness related to this stuff, and I'm just telling you the way that it came down from my perspective in my life, and well, there you go.
It's been quite the journey with you, Barry, and I just want to say thank you so much for being willing to come on, and I hope that everybody out there does appreciate, like I do all the time, that you have taken to explain in great detail all of the things that you have, and the fact that you are willing to share all of this. And I have a feeling it's not the last time that we're going to talk, of course. We've spent a lot of time together, and I know that we will be in contact and we'll be in touch. I am happy, however, that you don't feel like you've been taken in the last however many years. You don't feel that they've had any contact with you, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't want to open up a whole nother can of worms here. I was going to talk about it if we came back to this, but
well, then
one
just
of the
touch
things,
on it a little bit, and we're not going to go into it,
well,
but yeah, just touch
so
on it a little bit.
I have not. I have seen. I have seen UFOs since this, but I have not, to my knowledge, had any abduction that I'm aware of. But something that I did find out. Let's see. I got married in 1993, or not. I got married in 1992, and when my wife and a few years later, my wife and I were trying to have children, I found out that I was completely sterile, and which was quite a shock, I was never openly admitted, but and the doctor said to me, oh, I'm getting weird feedback.
Yeah, it just did that.
Wow,
I saw
that's
that. I
weird.
saw that happening. Yeah.
Any case, he asked me, he said, "Were you ever exposed to high doses of radiation?" And yeah, he asked me that. And I thought to myself, and again, I've had some crazy jobs where I worked around but he just said, it's very unusual for a young man, healthy young man like you to be having something like that. And basically just said, there's really, the only way would be to undergo procedures to try to see what the hell
Right.
happened. But, it makes you wonder again, did these things for some reason do that? Did they do it accidentally? Did it have nothing to do with that? And it was just
Right.
or was I exposed to some high doses of radiation in some way, somehow, standing underneath a UFO? Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's again another mystery in my life that will make me wonder. And of course, interestingly, I end up adopting a Mayan child, and I have there's a whole nother big story that goes to that. But he is, we had him tested as a child. He's a genius, and you know, I feel like I have some really big purpose that I had to fulfill, and maybe that would have never happened. It makes you wonder. It's so many things, in so many ways. But
Yeah.
there you go. Did they do something to me? Maybe. More questions than answers.
Yeah, that's for sure. But all we can do is discuss and have our conjectures about things, and having people
Yeah.
being willing to come on and share. And thank you for that. Well, see, we
Alrighty.
already have another list begun for our next chat. So, yeah, you just
Yep.
let me know whatever you wanted to cover. And
Okay.
we're not done. See, I love it. I love it. And isn't that
I don't
nice
think
that
we're
for
done.
2.5 hours it's hung in, and then you start talking about, oh, there's not been much going on since, and then it starts to get all wonky. How strange.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's just these strange things happen, and you just can't. You just can't. It's hard to believe that it's still going on, but I'm not dealing with. I haven't. I'm going to knock on wood right now. No, nothing's been coming in and taking me,
I'll knock on wood too.
because and if I am sterile, maybe they have no reason to take me at this point, and maybe that's whatever they got from me. They got when they wanted it, and that was the end of that. So
Yeah.
who knows?
Well, thank you, Barry.
Okay.
And we will do this again then.
Okay. All right. One more time.